my name is Genevieve Tucker. Thank you for tuning in to the Northern Static Series on CFUR 88.7 FM. You can find us online at CFUR.ca. We are broadcasting live from the traditional unceded and stolen territory of the Lheidli First Nation. This initiative is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada. Today we are featuring Amy Blanding, who has been highly celebrated in our local and regional music scene for well over a decade. Amy collects moments in the Northern Wild and turns them into stalwart protest folk songs with a raw edge. Known for her profound songwriting, she is unapologetically creating the music that needs to be heard. Amy Blanding, welcome to the Northern Static Series.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello.
It's so good to have you here.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's been fun. I was searching through our CFUR archives to see if you had like a solo clip, and I couldn't find one, actually, which is super surprising. I found like a few old clips of Black Spruce Bog, of course. Yep. But the ones that I did find of Black Spruce Bog were kind of funny. One was about potatoes.
Yeah.
One of the songs that was super cute.
I love that video so much. Is that the one with the puppet?
No, I didn't see a puppet.
Oh, no, that's a different one. Okay. There's a farmer's market one that we did with a puppet.
Well, I was going to say, there was another one about farmer's market, like a jingle.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was probably the one.
Okay, go back and watch that one because the puppet, a.k.a. Spencer Hammond, is hilarious and makes the video.
I clearly didn't watch the whole thing then because I wouldn't forget that. Yeah. So anyways, there's lots of, fun content, but nothing that's featuring just you and your music. So it's really been a long time coming. So we're so excited to be able to do that today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back in time with this classic question. Can you tell me about yourself and what got you started as a musician?
Music has been in my life and a part of my life from the very start. But as sort of a background component to everything else. So I grew up, I was born in the Four Corners region of the United States, in Durango, Colorado. And I moved to Greeley, Colorado when I was 3 years old. So it's sort of suburbia, about 45 minutes northeast of Denver. And then when I was 12, my family moved us to Prince Edward Island, Canada. So I moved around a lot, and I think the story of moving factors a lot into who I am and my transient nature, and definitely into my music now. I grew up singing in choirs. My parents both play music. My dad took it really seriously for a while, tried to, I guess, make it as a folk singer. He did really well, I think, until he kind of gave it up for the traditional life of a job and a wife and a family. But music was always around. I played trumpet in band. Yeah, but I didn't ever consider myself a musician. I never thought about singing in a band or, heaven forbid, singing lead in music or even really writing music until later in university. And I picked up a mandolin because my brother had played mandolin and it seemed small enough to fit my wee hands. And I needed something to accompany my voice. And so I wrote maybe 2 songs. This is by the time I was, 22 years old. And then I didn't play music really very much or write music at all until I found myself like in transition and then moving to Lheidli territory, to Prince George. So that's about 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so my like open mics and just like jamming with people very quickly like transitioned into a vibrant music scene. Yeah. So that's like kind of surprising for folks, I think, sometimes to hear. I haven't been doing this, and I think by industry standards, I'm fairly late to the game. But I was really lucky when I moved to Prince George to meet people like Raghu Lokanathan or other folks who were, I don't know, in their 40s or how old a Raghu actually is. He's like 100 or 12, I'm not sure.
Nobody knows.
But to be surrounded by people that say, this is something that you should try, or we want you involved in projects, and to discover that, my God, I love this. this is so cool. So I immediately kind of fell into the scene here. It helped that my partner was very actively in the music scene. And then I just took off running.
That is quite the journey. And it's interesting that we say, late to the game, but really it's...
I know, I'm 41.
I think you're right.
Like a lot of time left.
I think you're right on time.
Yeah, and I think I love it. My music is better for the context and the experience that I bring to it. Forgive my language, but the shit that I would have written about when I was 19, like, you don't want to hear that. And not that I don't want to hear what 19-year-olds have to say, of course, but every transition in my life, every new development, every bit of heartbreak, everything that I witness, that all becomes a part of the story that I tell and the energy that I bring on stage. And I think older people are so much more compelling in their music because of that nuance and context and, you know, the depth of those wrinkles. So I'm excited about it. I think it makes me better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us have like a first. We were talking about this. I was talking about this earlier with someone else. We have like a first project that not entirely proud of because, you know, of where I also like I appreciate it because it's like where I was in that moment. But I feel like you don't have that out publicly, that there's something that you're like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but your first release, it doesn't feel like a first release is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Thank you. Yeah.
You feel it's
My
very
first
grounded.
Amy Blanding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Amy Blanding. Yeah. Down the line.
Yeah. I think I was really lucky in that, like, my first exposure to recording, you know, playing music on stage, touring, was with a band like Black Spruce Bog, where I got to get my feet wet kind of on the periphery, and then with the encouragement of that band and their manager and everything to sort of step into my own evolution as a singer, as a player, as a bandmate, and eventually as a songwriter. So I shook off that, I guess, the nerves and the roughness, and you can hear it in that sort of sonic journey of Black Spruce Bog. But then coming into when that band broke up and wanting to decide for myself what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be and the sound that I wanted to own, I already had a community.
Yeah.
And I had already shared so much. And so I think it was like a really natural progression. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm nothing without the people that surround me. And, you know, my bandmates from every single project, the folks that record me, the folks that support me, the folks that come out to my shows, like all of that makes it possible for me to sound the way that I do. And so Down the Line was absolutely that. It was the trust and support of Connor Pritchard, who recorded it, my co-producer, Fraser Hayes. Like, I trust these people with my life. And then all the beautiful musicians that were, put their hands up and said, yes, absolutely. So that helps too, because when you trust people, you trust them to tell you when it sounds good, and you trust them to tell you when it sounds really bad. And then you're like, okay, cool, thanks for that. I think I got lucky in that regard, and I worked my ass off, Yeah. So I think both of those things you can hear. And, other things I would do differently for sure, but I'm still so proud of that album.
What do you think you would take, like, as a learning piece moving forward? Is there anything that you could take from that first project down the line?
I'm learning to trust myself more, and that comes with experience and time. I've had a lot more time on stage and performing, and so I've evolved my sound and my voice. But I think trust is the biggest thing. Trusting yourself as a musician, that you know what sounds good, you know what you want to achieve, even if you don't necessarily know how to articulate it, but you're willing to work with someone so that they can realize your vision with you, and trusting that if it's not working, it's okay to say, no, let's go in a different direction. I think we have a tendency as like novice musicians or folks to honestly women have a tendency to like step back and kind of renege power to other people because they, quote, know what they're doing or they have more experience. And that might be true, but no one knows your music better than you do.
Yeah.
No one knows your voice more than you do. And when you get to a place where you recognize that that is true for every single musician and that is true for me, and so you become the main character in your own story and you get to write that. And so I think as I've evolved over the past 6 years, I'm coming into this, like, recording a new album feeling really confident, really sure, and really, really excited to just, like, get this stuff out and get it out in the world and then just move on and get the next thing out and move forward. And I think recognizing that it doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to exist. Like, let's just birth it and let it run, and people are going to take it as they will, and then you can move on to the next thing and be excited about the next project and just continue to evolve and create. So yeah, I think those are two things, like trusting myself and then also just being like, let's put all we can into it. Let's just like kill this next record and then just like keep going, because it's not going to be the last one. It's not going to be it's just the next in a long line of like creative endeavors.
So you were talking about you've been involved in lots of different choirs, and I remember you saying a while back that when you first moved to Prince George, was it the Old Time Fiddlers group that you were?
Oh no, it was Celtic Club.
Celtic Club. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel these different community music groups like influence your songwriting? Because that was kind of around, well, before you started down the line, but do you think that had any sort of influence on?
Yeah, you can hear Celtic influences in my songwriting and in my style. Yeah, I think you can definitely feel pieces of like the people that I was surrounded with in my music or how I'm playing it, for sure. With those early community groups, you know, the choirs that I sang in with Celtic Club, it was just a space to like practice in safety. And I think that's so important for musicians early in their career, to just have a place where you're regularly showing up, where people are saying, you know, get up there, go play. Oh, we love that. We love you. We love you. Like just getting that constant positive reinforcement. And for me, it really came from Margaret Coyle, who passed away a number of years ago now. Margaret and Jim were the lead singers of Out of Alba, which was like a Celtic supergroup in Prince George for a long, long time, like 30 years. I opened for Out of Alba one night for one of their shows. It was July 1st, hot as balls in Art Space above Books and Company.
Classic.
And I was just cooking, and it was a really good show. And after that show, Margaret came up to me and just said, you could do this if you wanted.
Nice.
You could make it, whatever make it means.
Yeah.
But she gave me that confidence, and I held her in such high regard, and Jim as well. So I actually dedicated Down the Line to her because she passed away before she was able to hear it. But having those moments of little bursts of confidence from people that you respect, I think we're going to need that the rest of our lives as artists, right? As someone that says, oh, no, that's good, keep going.
Yeah.
Or, no, you can do better, like, push harder. And that's what I really valued from that space, is just people who said, like, you're good at this, we want to hear you.
Yeah.
And then starting to pay you for it, too. That's really nice.
Oh, that's just a bonus. Hey? Yeah. So after being in Black Spruce Bog, when did you start writing? Like, was it during that project, like started writing your own music, or was it after?
I wrote a little bit when I was with Black Spruce Bog, but nothing that I wrote was ever performed by the band. It was really the breakup of that band that forced me to make a decision about whether or not this was something that I actually truly wanted to do. When you're given opportunities like that, for me, it was, you know, when a whole part of my life crumbled and fell apart in the break of that band, not being the entirety of it. But I think you're gifted these opportunities to be like, is this actually who you want to be? Like the pandemic, right? Like we all were forced inside. We were forced to give up everything in our lives. And then the smart people post-COVID were like, did I value that thing that I did all the time? Do I actually want to bring that back in? Is that who I want to be, or do I want to change or evolve or be something different? And that was the decision that I made when Blackstreet's Bog broke up. It was like, actually, this is a big piece of who I am. I need to write it down. I need to share my voice. I think there are songs in here that want to be birthed. It was almost right away. It was really interesting as I called my friend Dan Stark, who works for Six Sigma Video, because he had talked to me about wanting to do videos, like a couple of videos of me singing. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that, man. I don't have any original songs. And he was like, it's fine. You can just record some covers. I just want to record video of you singing. And so I said, okay, come on over tomorrow. And the fear about putting music out on YouTube that wasn't my own motivated me enough to sit down and write down the line overnight. So I literally wrote that song the night before, and then I played it on a video the next day, and it went out on the web and everything like that. And then I was like, okay, oh my God. And I was like, I'm shaking in the video. Like, it was such an emotional moment. That's like my only breakup song that I ever wrote about my divorce and everything. It's like, so it was a very raw, very highly emotional song for me. And I just punched it out. It was really like that moment, that crux that forced me to make a decision. And then after that, it just kind of was like, okay, well, this is something I do. Cool. And I kind of fell into it, and didn't have as much fear around it.
Do you find like with your songwriting, a lot of them come kind of all at once and it's like in one sitting?
Yeah, for the most part, the body, or I guess the meat of the songs, comes in one fell swoop. I struggle to kind of talk about my songwriting because sometimes I feel bad about the fact that I don't spend a whole lot of time writing songs. When I do, they come out and they're good. So I feel really bad because it's like bad. It's not it's just like maybe it sits in there. Maybe it's like this little like piece of coal that's like slowly under pressure, and I'm like going around in my head, and it's just like this, and then I'm like, finally something in me just says bleh, and it spits it out, and it's like a little diamond, and it just like comes out really fast, and I think, that's okay. I like that. And it's almost like it takes shape very, very quickly. I rarely, if I have something that comes out one day, I rarely take longer than a few days to finish it.
Yeah.
I might manipulate things over time, change a word here or there, but they come out fast, those little diamond babies. And I've been pretty happy with the majority of songs that I've written. I don't have a lot of scraps or whatever that are thrown away. That might change as I try to be more prolific and kind of level up what I do and how much I write. But for the most part, they come out in one chunk. I do write a lot of poetry and random thoughts and stuff like that, so I pull a lot of lyrics from notes and things like that I've accumulated. I don't sit down necessarily and write lyrics, but if I hear a line or something like that, I'm always just whipping it out and writing it down or sending myself a quick email so that I have words to pull into songs.
I resonate with that, honestly. It feels like a pressure building and within my songwriting as well.
Yeah.
And then it's
cool.
Here it is. But sometimes those stretches are longer than I would like.
Yeah, for sure. I don't like the long stretches.
No.
But I think you have to give yourself grace with that and understand that, creativity can't happen necessarily under a lot of pressure, which is why it's so hard to be an artist in the world, because you have all of the demands of keeping yourself alive and participating in capitalism and et cetera, and those are not necessarily the conditions by which art can just flow through you, when the muse strikes. So I think I have to give myself grace, all of the things that I have going on in my life. When do I actually have the time to clear the noise and just go, okay, what's coming out? So But sometimes you just have to step up and make the space, get her done,
Totally.
commit to a project where you say, I'll have 4 new songs, and then you just have to write them. 4 new songs in 1 week.
Or just write it on a set list.
Yep.
New song. And you have to write that song.
Yep.
What role has living in this area in northern BC and Clayton played in shaping your music?
It's inextricably linked.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, you can hear it in a lot of my lyrics. You see it on the cover of my album, Down the Line. That's the Fraser River running past my house. I write music looking at the cut banks 99% of the time because it's just out my window. I'm very much influenced by the land and the ecosystems that I surround myself with. But I also think that the demographics of Prince George, the people who live in this area, very much influence what I care about and what I write about, because we're a different stock here. The people that either choose to live here and stay here or are forced to be here because of the social services that exist, or the people that come in and out of the town, or the people who would never effing live here ever in their lives and then just end up here for 30 years. Like, they're characters, they're vibrant. They expose you to the underbelly of the world that maybe you don't see very often or don't allow yourself to see. Living here has forced me to confront so many parts of myself, what I care about. I mean, I had my family here. Like, I found partnership here. I birthed my son here. All of these things just like it make this place rich and home, and also really confusing and hard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't separate Clayton from who I am and the songs that I write. And I probably won't always be here, and I won't always be writing songs of this place, but I think it's changed me 1,000%.
And well, in your own bio, I guess the genre protest folk comes up. What has led you to do this work in sharing your activism through your music?
Consciousness, activism, politics has always been a part of my music, because I write about what I see, what I feel, and what I feel utterly compelled to talk about. I think it's a real place of privilege to talk about politics or political music, or, being political as like a separate thing from who we are and how we exist in the world. Like, it gets my goat to be with people being like, I don't really like politics. Like saying, I don't really like knitting. I don't really like running. It's such an interesting perspective to think, like, what is more political than caring for people? Mm-hmm. What is more political than health, or the air that we breathe being clean, or how the animals are being treated? I don't think you can separate life and politics, or life and activism, if you choose to do something about it, which mm-hmm. is helping your neighbor or caring for others, or voting or what have you. So this is the part where it's quite tangential, sorry, but I know it's always been a part of the songs that I write. There are threads of it through all of my music. But there was definitely a turning point during COVID, post-racial reckoning, when folks were finally waking up to the murder of Black bodies in the streets, and we had this pandemic that highlighted how we are treating disabled people and how vulnerable we are and how vulnerable the system is. And then I had my son, all of this within like a 1.5 year period, and it just rocked me to my core. I stopped playing music like everybody did during the pandemic. I call it like the big freeze. And as I started to thaw out, I had to make a decision about whether or not I could continue to take up space as a musician on these stages, telling stories that just didn't really matter, sharing music that was like nice or that entertained people And don't get me wrong, that's really, really important. But I couldn't fathom the idea of taking up space as a quite privileged, affluent white person without using that privilege and that opportunity to share stories that needed to be heard and to amplify the voices that are silenced. It felt like either you do this or you don't do it anymore, and you just do music for yourself, and you keep it behind the scenes. But if you're going to be afforded this platform, like, do something with it, Amy. Nothing actually felt more honest and more real than that. And so that was a real turning point for me, and it's just picked up steam as I have written more music and become more involved in equity work in my jobs and in my community. I put the word protest in my music because that's what we need to be doing these days. If we're not protesting oppression, then we're complicit. And I think artists and musicians have such strength and power to be sharing stories that need to be heard in ways that are unique. Like, every song touches somebody differently. Every piece of art touches people differently. You never know who's going to grab onto that and feel changed and moved and motivated. And if I have an opportunity to share somebody's story or share my story in a way that moves someone to make change towards collective liberation, my God, I'm going to take that opportunity. So it's become like a deliberate thing that if I say that this is what I do, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it from a place of power and also from a place of humility, because I walk in privilege every single day, and I need to be a conduit and a steward for those stories that still need to be told. And so if I put that claim out there, then I have to be prepared for what that means, and who I'm bringing in and who I'm listening to, and the things that I'm involved in, and what I say when when we go to festivals or we play shows. Am I going to be okay with a venue that's inaccessible, or am I going to push for the changes that need to happen? Am I going to make space for disabled folk to come and access the shows that I play? Or am I going to be like, well, it's fine, next time, or wouldn't that be nice? It's a commitment, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, we're going there. You've released a new single called Sunbirds, which back in April you performed at a local concert that ultimately led you to be dismissed from your inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility position at Northern Health. We have a super extensive interview on our YouTube channel with yourself and our newsroom coordinator, Ian Gregg, which I urge all of our listeners to dig into that interview if you haven't already. It's very informative and encapsulates this period very well, I feel. So I won't get into it too much, but on the topic, while so much of the world is in conflict with so many atrocities baffling different communities, what in your life, beliefs, lived experiences connected you to the people of Palestine and led you to write the song Sunbirds?
It's hard for me to think about anyone who wouldn't be connected to what's happening in Palestine and the people who are being murdered in that country. So I find it baffling to think that we would think otherwise about holding those people in our hearts. My partner's family has been a part of the BDS movement for a long time, particularly around freedom in Palestine. And so, that's been top of mind since we've been together. I wasn't allowed to buy a soda stream because of the company's ties to Israel. And so I've been politically aware of what we call the conflict in occupied Palestine for a long time, since my university days when I studied foreign policy in the Middle East. I even have visceral memories as a child of watching the news and seeing Yasser Arafat with a keffiyeh and having conversations with my dad about that scary man and what that meant, and having to like rewire my neurological pathways to not see, like, to not be racist towards Arabs and not be racist towards folks wearing a keffiyeh and stuff like that. Like, it's very much a part of like my sort of evolution as an anti-racist. But it, you know, came to the forefront for everyone when we started getting inundated on our phones with videos of what was happening. And I'm so grateful to technology for that exposure, because I think that's what woke a lot of people up, is you could not avoid seeing what was happening. Yeah. And for myself, there was a video of a woman on her knees holding a child the size of my little boy in a white shroud, and she was rocking back and forth, and she was crying as anyone would cry when their child was dead in their arms. That sound became Sunbirds. That moment became the last verse, the last chorus in the song. And honestly, I was told before that community concert that my music was too political, and so I decided that I was going to write a song about the genocide in Palestine, because you can't tell me what to sing. Yeah. And so I finished it, and like I wrote it right before that concert and finished it, but it was also important to me to write a song that highlighted the beauty of that country, a country that I still very much hope I will get to see in person someday. But so often when we focus on tragedy, that's all we can see. And from everything that I've read, everybody that I've spoken to, the music that I've heard from that country, Palestine is just like a stunning place filled with beautiful people who are complex and nuanced and vibrant, just like every other place in the world. And so I also wanted to write a song that captured those images. Yeah, so it needed to be written. I couldn't not write that song. It was all that I was thinking about. I hope that it was all that anybody was thinking about, and I hope that everybody is still thinking about it.
And since you've released the song as a fundraiser for Wear the Peace, how's the response been from the single now?
Unreal.
Yeah.
We released Sunbirds. I wrote Sunbirds, and then I recorded it with my band Reckless Burning, and they are amazing. And Connor Pritchard and Adam Harris-Simiak and a bunch of other people supported that release. It was very much a collective labor of love. Every download of that song goes to Wear the Peace, which is a registered charity that brings humanitarian aid into Gaza and has done that for a very, very long time. And so we released the song, I think, at the end of January, and it did really well. Like, people really liked it, and it got some traction. And then Wear the Peace posted about it on their Instagram, because, you know, we were fundraising in partnership, and it just went, do we say it went viral?
It went viral.
I think it went a bit viral. I don't know what that means, but yeah, I was actually out at lunch with a friend, and then I stepped out of lunch and I saw a text from you, Jen, and it said, "Oh my God, Amy, you're going viral." And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, open your Instagram. And so I opened it because I don't have notifications on my phone. I opened it, and it just was red. It was just red across the board. And I don't know, at that point I had like 3,000 followers, which for a person at that point accumulated about 1,000 followers over the course of a decade-long music career. So 3,000 felt like a lot. Messages were coming in. People were going to the Bandcamp page to download the song. We were bringing in money, and then it just kept happening. So literally every single time I opened my phone, and it's still like that. To this day, every time I open Instagram, I have minimum 6 new followers. I don't understand, but it's I think that that's very good. So we're sitting at like 9,200 or something like that. The follows on my Instagram have not correlated to downloads, but we have managed to raise at this point about $2,500 for Wear the Peace, which is awesome. That'll just keep going in perpetuity. Like every time anyone chooses to download the song from Bandcamp as opposed to hearing it on a streaming platform or something like that, pay $1, pay $100, whatever you want, that all will go to Wear the Peace. So it's done really well. It's super cool, and it's gotten exposure in different places, and I've met a lot of people because of it. People have connected with me. So many Palestinians have connected with me saying thank you, and we're with you, and we love you, and we're in solidarity together. People from all over the world. So I feel really grateful for that. And I also discovered there's a hidden message inbox in your Instagram. So go to that and discover what people have been saying, because there's like so many beautiful messages in there that I didn't know they existed until like yesterday.
Do you have any advice that you would offer to emerging artists or people that would like to start being a musician?
Yeah, I would just say find places to share your music. Open mics, jams, friends that are generous with their time. You just got to play. The only way to grow a muscle is to flex it regularly, and that can be really scary. It can feel really nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, but literally the more you do it, the easier it gets. I don't know that nerves ever go away, but the more that you can expose yourself to what can go wrong when you're playing, or what your hands or your heart do or your breath does when you're in front of a group of people, then you have that experience to fall back on the next time and know that you can do it. Sometimes it's hard as a musician to think about writing a new song when there are so many amazing songs already out in the world. Like not even how do I live up to that, because that's not the point, but more we could spend our whole lives listening to all the music that's already been created and still never hear all the great music that there is in the world. So I think you kind of got to put that aside and just recognize that your story is yours. It's unique. It's important. And if you feel compelled to share your music, then just let that kind of guide you and forget about everything else. But yeah, you just got to put in the time. You just have to put in the time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if that's sitting with a group of people in the middle of a jam and just playing one chord and letting it ring out, and then playing another chord and letting it ring out, like you're adding to that. You are contributing to that.
What's next for Amy Blanding?
Going into the studio the beginning of June. I'm very excited. Going into Afterlife Studios in Vancouver to record the next record. It's going to be a full-length record with my beautiful bandmates. Yeah, just leveling up in terms of my expectations for myself and for my music. You know, I've made some changes in my personal and professional life so that music can become more, take more priority, which is a weird place for me to be. Making a decision to focus on this and see what can happen when I actually like create that space to create music and be much more involved in the music scene, and push myself out there into new and different places. Yeah, so that's really exciting. I'm just really stoked about that. And yeah, so once the record's out, we're gonna run with it and see what happens. Get out on the road, meet some new people.
Okay, we're going to move into our song exploration portion of the hour, where we check out a few recorded tunes from Amy. We're going to start with the song Ain't Nobody from Amy Blanding's 2019 album titled Down the Line. Okay, that was great. Holy smokes, every time I listen to that song, like the recorded version, like that riff is so quick.
It's fast
Yeah,
on
it's
the record.
so
Yeah.
fast. It's so good. It's fun. It's super fun.
Cool.
Yeah. How does that feel like when you hear that song again, like being recorded and released back in 2019 and you still play it today? How does that feel like listening to the original recorded version?
It feels different for sure. Like that song, when we recorded it, I can't play it like that live. I can play it that fast live, but I can't go directly from the verses into the riff. Never could, because I'm not a killer mandolin player, and also like singing and then playing, like it was a bit of a hiccup. But interestingly, the way that I play it live, so with a bit of an extended come down off of the verse before it goes into the riff, that was how we recorded it in studio. And there was something that wasn't working about that song when we recorded it. It sounded good, the tracks were good, we had good takes, but there was something that was just slightly off. And so I just said to Fraser, my producer, I said, you know what, can you figure something out with that song? Like, it's just, there's something that's not quite right. And he said, let me go back and sit with it. And then he came back and he played it for me, and he had just cut a whole section out. And so we go from like, ain't nobody gonna marry me, da 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 da, and it goes right into it. So from the immediately, so it's that pickup is quite quick. And I was like, oh my God, that was it. That's amazing. And so he made such a great decision about it that like flowed really well, and it makes it such a catchy and punchy song. But I can't replicate it. I can't replicate it. I've played with musicians who expect me to replicate it because they're talented enough to do that. But yeah, it's really fun listening back to it. It's evolved a lot. So when we play it live, we do it in lots of different ways, different tempos. My band and I have made it like really like slowed it down and made it quite swampy and stuff like that. So it's super fun. It's got a lot of, she wears different jackets, that lady.
I love it.
Her name's Dottie.
Her name's Dottie. Can you talk about the meaning behind the song and like where it came from?
Yeah. It started out as a jam. Myself and Jeremy Paul were jamming at my house one day, and I just started playing the chords, and I went from that like open A minor to whatever is like an open F, and Jeremy said, "Oh, that's mountain as like AF." Like that sound, it was just like real swampy, and so I just was like playing around with that and kept those chords and then riffed on it, like put the riff in a little bit later. And I wanted a song that like felt like an Appalachian folk tune, because I had been listening to Sarah Jarosi and Effie O'Donovan and a couple of other female artists who had been like reclaiming old trads, old Appalachian traditional songs that tend towards stories about girls, like little girls getting murdered, basically, like old murder ballads and stuff like that. There's often the protagonist, or there's a a female character that is like sold into marriage or ends up murdered, like Delilah murdered in a ditch or something like that. And so it's just like kind of a, obviously like a manifestation of that sort of machismo, like patriarchy or whatever in these old traditionals. And so, but the songs are so good, they're so rich, they're so vibrant, they're so catchy. And so a lot of folk musicians were kind of like reclaiming and writing their own versions of those old trads with new lyrics, or lyrics that kind of like changed the story of what happened from the perspective of the woman or what have you. And so I just wanted to try my hand at that. And so this song came out, and it's, I like it because I think it paints a really cool picture of this girl and what her life is, and then how it concludes is kind of left up to the listener to determine whether or not she drowns in the river or makes her way across and then spends the rest of her days running wild through the mountains and the forests. And, obviously I have my feelings about that, but like the fact that her her freedom is her own and it can't be stripped away from her. So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun song to write.
Well, let's move on to your latest single, Sunbirds, recorded with Reckless Burning.
Hot wind blows in February. Last year's fires burning underground. Seasons played the draw, hold fast to something steady. Elevate the children to the clouds. You made me hold my brothers in arms till the end. Press spices to the meat at the table of my family. Will you ever draw your line in the sand? Don't have to feel your legs to stand your ground. Person that I've been. censor every song, but we rise up together. One stage, one voice, till all of us are free.
Okay. So this song was originally written acoustically, I assume, with your mandolin.
Yeah.
How does it feel to hear it with a full band? Like when that took shape?
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I write most of my music, all of my music on my mandolin. It's the only thing I really play. But I immediately, when this song was written, I immediately took it to Reckless Burning, actually before it was like fully completed at that point. And I work with my friend Melissa Walker, who's a brilliant bass player, and she heard a bass line in that song that was highly unique. So I remember going back and forth with her with little clips of the song. She would play around with something and I would give her feedback and she'd send it back and forth. And she's, if you've ever worked with Melissa, you know her work ethic is just like nobody else's. So she was just super prolific in sending me thoughts and ideas about this song. And at one point, she started bowing on the first verse. And the way that she was bowing, like one of the choices that she made where she kind of messed up, it ended up sounding like a helicopter, like a chopper flying through the air.
Yeah.
And so it was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it just like, so moving and kind of like creepy and gives you this feeling of unease. And so we went with that. That actually ended up becoming like the pulse of the song all the way through. So regardless of what's being said, there's this constant sort of pulse of that bass line that really influenced a lot of the decisions, I think, sort of production-wise on the song moving forward, and even how it's performed live. With the recording itself, I had conversations with Connor Pritchard at Pulp City Music, who recorded and mixed Sunbirds, about how I wanted the listener to feel when they were done. And so a lot of the decisions that are made sonically, particularly in the final chorus, are to bring real unease to the listener. So while I have beautiful voices singing back up and everything like that on the song, you'll notice that like the chorus was written in a register that's not quite where I should be sitting vocally. And I did that deliberately. Like in that final chorus, I wanted it to be panic, like breathless, a real strain for me to get there. So I really have to open up vocally to even like achieve those notes. And that's kind of an unnerving place for the listener to sit. And then we have these beautiful vocal parts that you, Jen, and Britt and Tori developed over time that are quite haunting. And we kind of amplified that. And then we actually got Britt in the studio to cry and scream. And you can't hear that. It's like in the very, very distance in the recording, so much so that if you didn't actually know to listen for it, you can't hear it. But I think that it's in there subtly so that it actually really influences how you come out of it feeling. And yeah, so a lot of those choices were like really deliberate in that I didn't want it to be sonically perfect or like really well played. Like I obviously want to achieve, like you really want good takes and you want everyone to play and sound as best they can. But I was more just interested in like what are we trying to achieve here, and what is the listener going to walk away feeling, and if they could feel a sense of unease or being unsettled coming out of the back end of that song, then when that last line hits them, they're motivated to do something. Mm-hmm. In this case, donate to Wear the Peace, but like whatever that sentiment moves them to do. So yeah, we made some really interesting decisions recording it, and I think the performances that everyone gave were just like killer.
Yeah, it was really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It was really heavy, but it was also a much needed release, I feel.
Mm.
And I don't know how that was for you. Like, it was such that week that we were in the studio. Like, maybe we'll just briefly share what happened that week, like, and just the timeline of it all.
It was the anniversary of October 7th when we recorded it. And it was also right around my press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a press conference in Vancouver where I filed lawsuits against my employer and the community members that had defamed me around, this song and my opinions about Palestine. You can find all that online. We won't get into it, but it was a really, really heavy time. And so recording Sunbirds was, quite cathartic. The fallout from everything that happened the first time that I sang Sunbirds was quite a lonely experience because I couldn't talk to anyone about it because we were undergoing sort of legal proceedings. And so the only people that I had that knew what was going on were my family and my band. Reckless Burning, they were there from the very beginning. And so we all went through it together. They were the only people I could talk to about it. They were with me from the very beginning when I said, this is what I want to do, knowing that it would have an impact, knowing that we were all going to get raked over the coals. And there was never any question. And so I think going into the studio and singing that song and laying it out for this new purpose was some pretty necessary healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember recording with Tori. She was really struggling. And so I just came into the booth with her and I stood behind her. I wasn't touching her, but I was as close as I am to this microphone to her while she sang. She was like, I just felt you there the whole time. And the performance that she gave for that song was just like, it was just incredibly moving.
Yeah.
And so we were able to just like hold each other through that experience. And I think you can hear that. And it ended up being like, I think what I needed to move forward and kind of take the next step towards whatever this is going to look like.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here in CFUR Studios with us today. And I'm so excited for the next chapter.
Thank you.
To see what's coming.
Thank you.
And I also want to note that the fundraiser is still ongoing. You can donate by downloading Sunbirds at Amy's Bandcamp. So look up Amy Blanding on Bandcamp and you'll find the song there.
Yeah.
All of the proceeds going to Wear the Peace. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you for having me. You guys are so cool. I love CFUR.
We love CFUR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the wrap.
Woo woo. She walks the night under flickering light. Check pulse of the ones left to fight. A child of his song, his dignity gone. The past is harrowed and home. Bury the
the truth with nowhere to hide. Broken young souls, breathing life into coals. Bread for the man in the holes. Give me your hand, tender comrade. We'll sleep when the day is done. Bury the land, yours till the end. Oh, till the water comes. Tell me your own, I will carve it in stone. It's love, it's a scrappy red rose. To heal is an art that the suits break apart. Still I weep with joy in my heart. Give me your hand, tender comrade. We'll sleep when the day is done. Bury the land, yours till the end. Oh, till the water comes. Give me your hand, tender comrade. We'll sleep when the day is done. Bury the land, yours till the end. Oh, till the water comes. 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 Living for change is a hard time, an end we'll never know. Breaking a heart from the inside and trusting that blood will still flow. Asking her name, she can't tell you. She reaches for the people she's known. Comrades come deep from the 60s, and surrender is whiter than bone. Haven't been back in a long time, not seen the kitchen since she had it done. It's still hard to breathe from the inside, I'd rather be alone on the road. Trees grow to heights I don't notice. Voice in the spirit of sane. Smoke holds the fog now for ransom, and the poor got the market on pain. Peel back the skin of the moment. Sunset's starting to fade. Tell us, dear Grace, are we worthy? 'Cause the joke is on us just the same. Weeds are just flowers into chairs. Never wanted to tend to the seed. It's the Crips and the queers with a vision. It's the rivers that fill up the sea. Journey far from home, danced a step to shoulder stone. 40 years of doing time, truck to ditch, package fine. Who are you to haunt the side, the highway lines of sacrifice? Drop a feather in the sky. Buses run so you decide what color turns blind to sty. Roaming calls to no one's name, only blood can play the game. Pale your face in rusty waters, your headlines kept, preacher's daughter, home as they did before, but their bodies keep the